Let me show you some of the Nest gear I got in my house. First off, I have a Nest Hello doorbell. Up here, I have a Nest battery cam. That's the brand new battery-powered wireless camera. Up here, I have the Nest Cam IQ. So on the other side of the house, this is the camera that I have. It's a little ways up there. You can see it's right up there on the ridge line. So lastly, on the back of the house, I've got the Google Nest Cam Floodlight. This is brand new. I just installed it. This is going to really kill me to remove this floodlight because I really like it. So I'm not so happy I have to make this video, but I felt obligated to share with you what's going on at Google Nest. Now, you know, if you see my channel, I really like Google Nest products. I have a bunch of them around my house. Here's the brand new battery cam. I got the doorbell. I've got the hub. I've got the thermostat. I've got the new floodlight. So let me tell you what's happened. Google bought Nest about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And over the course of time, they've been trying to migrate from the Nest app over to the Google Home app. Now, that's all good and well if it works smoothly. The problem is some products are still locked in the Nest app and some are in the Google Home app. So you really need two apps to support this ecosystem. And to make matters worse, the Google Home app isn't as good as the original Nest app. Now, it gets even more complicated when you start talking about subscriptions if you need a Nest Aware on these. So basically what it means, if you have the Nest Aware on your Nest app, it doesn't apply to your Google Home app, and vice versa. So you can see you could really end up having two subscriptions to support all these devices. And that's not so good. So I decided to take this head on and call support the other day. And this is what happened to me. Basically, they told me I needed to remove all my devices out of my Nest account, which seemed okay. I was kind of like nervous to do it, but I decided since I was talking to someone on the phone, let's do it. The phone call ended up being about 2 hours. And I wasn't super satisfied at the end. Let me tell you why. So basically removed all the cameras, we moved the doorbell, everything that was in my Nest app, and I tried to re-add it to the Google Home app. Now that's all good and well, and that took a long time in its own right, but it turned out the guy wanted me to climb up my ladder to reach a camera that I have on the side of the house that's like 40 feet off the ground to scan the QR code. And I'm like, wait a second, I had it in this app, we could have pulled some info. It turns out there's no other way to do it unless you've got the QR code. So now let's move on to the fun of Nest QR code. So the support technician I was speaking to on the phone told me that every Nest device has a QR code on it. So one of my devices I was trying to re-add was my thermostat. Now I think I have a Gen 2 thermostat. They're up to like Gen 3 now, I think. And I'm looking at the thermostat. I pulled off the wall. I'll show you some video of this. And there's absolutely no QR code in there. He was befuddled by this. I'm not sure why, because there's millions of these thermostats out there in the wild, but he was befuddled, couldn't help me, and was like, all right, the thermostat's not gonna happen. So that's where I was. I decided later I would work on it. So it turns out if you remove the thermostat from the app, it'll actually have a setting in there which will give you a temporary password to add it back to the app. So I'll show you what that looks like and kind of how I did that, just to give some people some help out there if they're going through this. I did see a lot of message boards where people are like, how do I get through this? It turns out the people at Google support don't even know. So as I said at the beginning of this video, some devices won't go into Google Hub just because they're not new enough. Now, the problem is this device, the problem is that fell, but the problem is this device right here was just bought at Home Depot. It's the Google Nest Hello doorbell. It's a wired doorbell. It's a great doorbell, trust me. The problem is this can only work with the Nest application and not the Google Home application. Now, people have said if it's got a G on it, it will work with Google Home. You can see mine says Nest. And as far as I can tell, that's not true either. So there's so much confusion on this. Now, I know all this sounds kind of petty and very first worldish, but when you're talking about very expensive hardware and devices here, it gets a little frustrating. Like if you look at all this here, I'm about $15,000. Take two. If you look at all these devices here, I'm about $1,500 into Google Nest. So I spent a lot of money on the hardware, and here it is, like new hardware that's available right now, only works with the old app. It's really complicated and frustrating. So now that I've got that off my chest, let me tell you what my plan is here in regards to these Google Nest devices. And this is hard for me to say, but I think I'm gonna have to pull these out of my house and replace them, possibly with the Blink system. Now here's an example. Blink does offer now a doorbell. They didn't before in the past, so it wouldn't have been an option for me. The doorbell for Blink is only $49 for the wired or wireless, same doorbell. Meanwhile, the Google Nest doorbell right here is $250, and again, it only works with the old app. So I think there's some really compelling reasons to consider Blink. They also have their small little cameras. The other thing is they do also tie into the Alexa really well, so I like that, which means I'm going to be replacing my Google Home Hub with an Alexa, and I'm just making the move. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check me out on my main YouTube channel. It is called Kite Army. There's a bunch of fun, informative stuff over there that you're going to love. Let's go.